My name is Angel and welcome back to my little corner of the internet. Or if you're new here, welcome. I just realized none of my intros ever include people who are new, so yeah, hi. As you saw in the title, today we're going to be discussing a Japanese drama called Good Morning Call. It's one of the 2 Japanese dramas that I have watched, and it's the only one that I finished. No offense to Mischievous Kiss. It is 2 seasons split into 2 separate shows on Netflix. I'm not really sure why, but that's not what this video is about. Good Morning Call is a Japanese drama, which I've already said. It has 2 seasons, more like a season and a half, to be honest, because the second season is 10 episodes compared to the first season, which, if I remember correctly, is 17 episodes, so it's almost twice as long as the second, but it doesn't really matter. Who cares? It doesn't matter. So our main characters in this drama are a girl named Nao and a guy named Uhara. The rest of the characters aren't important enough for me to do a character thing at the beginning, but Nao is your very typical drama character. I don't remember too many of her personality traits. She's a clumsy, kind of shy girl who minds her business for the most part. She has 2 friends. I think she has a job, if I remember correctly. She works a couple jobs throughout the show, so shout out to her for being in her bag. Anyway, and then we have Uhara. Uhara is the love interest. There's several others that aren't important enough for me to name right now, but Uhara is our main love interest. He's a tsundere character, but not a bad one, because he's not rude to her, thank God. He's a tsundere character that I can get behind because he's not particularly rude to her. He kind of just wants her to stay out of his space and mind his business. He's emotionally inept. He's not overly lovey-dovey, and I think for a lot of people it seems like he doesn't actually care about her, when really he just has very subtle non-verbal ways of communicating that he cares about people. Anyway, the show starts with our 2 main characters moving into the same apartment by accident. They move in at separate times, if I remember correctly, but they move into the same apartment because they got scammed, sort of. I don't really know if it counts as a scam. They got double sold an apartment. So the guy who they bought it from sold it to her and then sold it to him separately, didn't tell them that he had sold it to someone else. It's a 2-bedroom apartment, so they don't have to share a room or anything like that. But they were both under the impression that they'd be living by themselves. They realize that they both got sold the same apartment, and they go to look for the guy who sold it to them, and he's gone. They can't find him anywhere. They can't get in touch with him. But both of them need the apartment, so the goal is just to try and live together in harmony. Also, keep it a secret from the whole school and their parents, or I guess her parents. I don't really think his parents are involved in his life. I know his brother and his brother's wife are involved in his life, but I don't think his parents are all that involved. I don't remember if they ever come up in the show, but her parents can't find out, and they can't tell anyone at school. For some reason, the school is overly concerned with their students' habitat. I don't know why that made me laugh so much. Why did I call it a habitat? Anyway, they make a list of rules, and I think it's Nao's idea for them to have a list of rules that they have to abide by. So they make their little list, they move in, settle in, mind their business, they don't really talk a whole lot, and then the next morning, Uhara has 2 million alarms going off in his bedroom, physical alarm clocks. I don't know why, but he has a lot of alarm clocks. And they wake Nao up because their rooms share a wall. And she goes into the next room to wake him up because they go off for several minutes. And he grabs her, calls her a different name while in his sleep, and then kisses her. We're 1 day into living together. They already got some chaos. He kisses her in his sleep while calling her Yuri. We'll get to her in a second. But she freaks out, backs up, and kicks him in the ribs to wake him up. And then she yells, "Who do you think you are?" And storms out of his room, but doesn't tell him what happened. She doesn't tell him about the kiss because he doesn't remember it, so we just we try to rock with the normals. Oh yeah, Yuri. He's in love with her. Yuri is his brother's wife, and he's been in love with her for years. If I remember correctly, Uhara, his brother's now wife, and his brother were all friends when they were younger. They used to kiki a lot, and he had a crush on her first, but his brother made a move and he just shut his mouth and never said anything, and then she got married. And that's what happened there. Yeah, so he's got this unrequited love going on. Anyway, something happens. If I remember correctly, the 2 of them accidentally take each other's bento boxes, and they have to meet up in the middle of class. I don't know why it had to be then. Uhara went to her class to give her her lunch and get his lunch from her, and it sparks some head scratches from some of their classmates, particularly our mean girls of this show, because they exist in every show about high school. Also, side note, does that happen in real life? I mean, like, I have to wonder, you know, because we didn't have that at my school. Nobody paid that much attention to anybody to be out here, like, having this whole mean girl trope that's in every teen drama that apparently crosses languages. Like, what is with this popular mean girl who the whole school is, like, fawning over? Why is that a thing? Is that real? Like, does anyone experience that in high school? If you experienced it, please feel free to let me know so that I can shut my mouth. But I don't think it's real. It just feels really falsified. Like, I don't know if that's a real high school experience for anyone. But I guess this is what happens when adults write teen dramas. Anyway, so yeah, the mean girls of the show, whose names I don't remember, it doesn't matter, they're not important enough for me to remember. They are not happy about her little interaction with Uhara for whatever reason. And they get another student to tell her that Uhara wants to meet her in like a gym class equipment closet shed thing, and she goes because I don't really know, honestly. He said they're not supposed to talk to each other at school, so I don't know what made her think. Anyway, she goes into the shed, and our nameless mean girls start bullying her, as is the common trope here. They say some aggressive things about how she needs to stay away from Uhara and how she doesn't deserve him, even though they don't really know anything about what's going on there. They just know that they communicate or communicated at some point. Like, I don't know. They start bullying her. They're super aggressive. One of them dumps water on her. And Uhara finds out about this because I think he was looking for her or something. Asked someone, and someone was like, she was supposed to be meeting you. And so he runs to the shed to go and find her, bursts in as soon as they dump water on her, and the three girls backtrack immediately because of course they wouldn't want their senpai to think they had done anything wrong. He throws his little school jacket over top of her because now she's covered in water. He tells the girls that Now is his girlfriend, shocking all of them. I don't know why that was his defense, but go off, bro. And then he walks her out of the closet or shed thing, whatever you want to call it. And that's the end of the scene, but because of it, people start assuming that they're dating. I know at some point she starts to develop a crush on him, and she's denying it for the longest while, as is usually the case. I don't know. I think they just kind of live their life and let people think what they think. There's a scene where they eat lunch together in the cafeteria, and I don't really remember what the point of that is, but it happens. Anyway, outside of school, because honestly what happens when they're at school isn't super important. But outside of school, at some point, Yuri shows up at their place because she decides she wanted to divorce Uhara's brother, like, out of nowhere. But she showed up at their apartment and said, I'm divorcing your brother, and so she was staying with them for a little while, which made Now super duper self-conscious because she kept comparing herself to Yuri because she knew that he liked Yuri, and at this point she had developed a crush on him. It was a really awkward several episodes. But eventually Now helps them reconcile. I believe they stay together. I do know that at some point the brother shows up to try and apologize and Yuri is having none of it. But I think they get back together at the end of this miniature plot. Anyway, at some point their parents find out, and so does the school. I don't remember who finds out first. I think the school finds out first and tells them that that's not allowed. Like I said earlier, I don't know why the school is so concerned with their students' living arrangements. Maybe it's a cultural difference that I don't understand because I know very little about Japanese culture. I will admit to that. I'm just confused as to why the school is so concerned. Because their principal calls them into his office and he's like, you know we can't let y'all live together, right? Like, y'all are two students. I don't know why it matters. They're not living on campus. Anyway, the teachers find out and tell them they can't live together. I don't remember if anything actually comes of that. But their parents find out. At least her parents find out. I still don't know what the deal is with his family. But her parents find out, and her dad makes her move back home. And then Uhara comes and confronts her dad. I don't really remember the details of that confrontation, but whatever happens as a result of that confrontation, they get to continue living together. The last 3 or 4 episodes of the season are mostly mini plots about their relationship development, so I don't remember a whole lot. I know that there's a vacation that happens. That's a 2-part episode. Right before that, some other side character whose name I don't know tried to get someone else to leave Now alone by saying that he was her boyfriend, but Uhara overheard this and didn't react, and that stressed Now out. She gets stressed out a lot. And then they all go on a vacation. Him, her, and several other side characters whose names I don't remember. And if I remember correctly, there's a lot of weird tension happening because Uhara is emotionally inept. And at the end of the season, Nao mistakenly thinks that Uhara is going to propose to her, and then he doesn't, and she like has a breakdown. And by that I mean she literally faints, because I think she tells him that she thought he was gonna propose, and then he says no because they like just graduated high school. I don't think that's how the episode ends, but I don't remember the rest of the episode. Season 2 is a lot, but like not at the same time. So season 2 is their first year of college. They moved out of the apartment they were sharing, but Uhara got them apartments next door to each other near their campus, which I think is cute. And Nao is immediately freaked out because Uhara's super popular on campus. I forgot to mention this. In high school, he was super duper popular and like everyone thought he was really hot, but like he's a tsundere character, so he didn't like return anyone's advances. And his wasn't even to be rude. He said, if I accept gifts from somebody, then I have to accept them from everyone. So it's better to just reject everyone so nobody has any expectations of me to accept things. Which is valid. I mean, people think he's an asshole because of it, but I think that makes more sense. He said, if I accept gifts from one person, then I feel obligated to accept gifts from everybody. That's kind of actually pretty considerate if you think about it. There's a couple scenes where people offer him stuff, and unlike Junpyo, he doesn't throw things at people, he just rejects them. Yeah, so Nao is immediately nervous when they get to college because everyone has hard eyes for him, and he's studying science. I don't remember which one. I'm so bad at this, but he's studying a science, and his lab partner is like an attractive older student. I actually don't know if she's a student or like a I hope she's a student. Anyway, his lab partner is like a really attractive woman, and it makes Nao insecure because I don't remember if the lab partner is into him immediately, but Nao gets nervous because his lab partner is like all smart and mature or whatever. Eventually, the lab partner develops a crush on him, and that's pretty much useless information until near the end of the show. But she develops a crush on him, so I'm telling you now. Eventually, Nao joins a knitting club, or a, what is that thing called? Cross-stitching? Is that the thing with the little pad? I don't know what it's called. I think it's a cross-stitch. She joins some sort of sewing-related club or whatever. She also makes a friend. His name is Natsume. He is exactly Uhara's polar opposite in almost every way. He's super bubbly and outgoing and really sweet and emotional. He's also a giant flirt. That's what he looks like. He's kind of cute, I'm not gonna lie. I don't have anything against him. He's actually a really good friend to Nao for pretty much most of the show. He has a couple moments where I'm like, sir, you might want to check yourself. But for the most part, he's really sweet. He's just a hopeless flirt. Natsume and Nao get pretty close to each other. At some point, he kisses her, which she freaks out about, obviously, because at this point, she's still dating Uhara. But she never mentions to Uhara that this happens. We just kind of keep it on the DL. And then he finds out, like, 3 episodes from the end, because I think someone mentions it while they're at lunch or something. And Uhara is upset, obviously. I think he's probably more upset that she didn't say anything to him, but he finds out about it and he asks her to give him some space, basically. And then we reach the last episode. The last episode is like nuts, but not in the way of like a traditional drama where they just throw in 2 million things at once. I actually rewatched the last episode to make sure that I had the conclusion of the show correct. I skimmed a couple other episodes, but I watched the last episode pretty much all the way through. So we're gonna get a little bit of a detailed insight to the end. Anyway, Uhara asks her for space, and then they don't talk for a while, and at the end of the second to last episode, they like meet up and have dinner together, I think at her place. They're like munching on some ramen or something, and she breaks up with him. Shook everyone. And she's talking to her friends, and she explains that she has this convoluted plan where she realizes that she doesn't have enough confidence to really date him, so she wants to work on herself and like get more confident and then make him fall in love with her again. And I was like, okay, that would be an interesting theory, except like he didn't fall out of love with you, boo. Like, where did you get the thought that he wasn't still in love with you? Anyway, there's a scene where Nao's going on a walk or a run. She's exercising, working on herself, making herself a better person. Good on her, but I wish it wasn't because she wanted to be more deserving of a man. Anyway, she's doing her little exercises or whatever. At some point while she was running, I think, she like dropped her home key, and she for some reason didn't want Uhara to see her in workout clothes. So he came up the stairs to their like apartment because he still lived next door, and she hid behind a plant. And I was like, dude has seen you in your pajamas because y'all lived together like a year ago. Why are you freaking out? But anyway, she doesn't want him to see her, so she waits for him to go into his apartment. Then she realizes, oh, I can't find my key. She tries to pick it with a hairpin, and Uhara overhears all of the noise outside, and then she ends up spending the night at his place. And it's weird because there's a curtain thing that they put up between the bed and the couch because she's on the bed and he's on the couch. But then he starts like berating her, and then she does it back. But like he starts scolding her about how she like always wakes up too late, and that's why she's always forgetting things, and how she shouldn't be running at night because she might run into a weirdo and something might happen to her. And like it starts with him saying you shouldn't run so late because you could run into someone dangerous, which is valid. That's a perfectly reasonable concern to have. But then he keeps going and he's like, you're always waking up late and this is why you like forget things all the time, and even when you're running late you have to make sure like he just goes off. And I was like, geez, homie, who gave you the right? And then she's like, and what about you? And I was like, huh? Because then she starts berating his eating habits, and she's like, you eat like a pig, like you eat pizza all the time and you don't sleep in your own bed, like you gotta fix that because you could catch a cold. I like they go back and forth for a while, and then at some point he says something about her getting in his way or like causing problems or something, and she's like, yeah, I'm annoying, but it's because I love you. And then she's like backtracks, and then she's like, that's how I felt. I don't know why she won't let him know that she still loves him, but your guess is as good as mine. Anyway, like she apologizes for causing him problems, and then she says that she's gonna try not to. Side note, she did used to have a problem with like oversleeping and running late all the time, but then she broke up with him, and homegirl decided to turn her whole life around. She started dressing in like more adult attire and like painted her nails this really pretty pink, and she like wakes up early, makes herself lunch and everything. And I was like, you go, Glen Coco. But he wouldn't know that because they're not together, so the berating about her being late all the time doesn't even make sense, which she points out. But anyway, this argument isn't super important. I don't know why I'm going into such detail about it. It just really threw me for a loop. The next day she like is hanging out with Natsume, and he tells her that she should use him to get over Uhara. Oh, I didn't mention this. At some point, Natsume confesses that he has feelings for her. Like, I think it's after she breaks up with Uhara, but it might be before she breaks up with him and after they, like, go on their little break. And she told him that she didn't reciprocate his feelings, and he said he didn't really care. But now we fast forward back to where we are, and Natsume tells her that she should use him to get over Uhara. And I was like, I don't know about that, Chief. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that because that would be unfair. And he's like, even if I'm okay with it? And she's like, yeah, you psycho, why would I do that to you? And then he tries to play it off like he doesn't care as much as he does. Next scene is Uhara and his lab partner at work. She's doing a research project. He's her like lab assistant or whatever. That's something throughout the show, but she's really not that important, honestly. She's only relevant for 3 reasons. She develops a crush on him. It's honestly just 2. She develops a crush on him. And there's this scene that happens because she eventually also confesses to him, which I don't think he immediately responded to her. And so we get this weird, awkward scene where she walks into the lab one morning and he's already there because he's still doing his little internship or whatever. And she's like a jittery mess. And like she's like trying to play it off as though she's not affected. I don't know what's wrong with these people. Like, she tries to play it off as though she's not like dying inside because she has a crush on him, and now she feels embarrassed for having admitted that she has a crush on him. Anyway, we move on, and Uhara's at his apartment with a buttload of boxes. I was like, oh, wait, you're moving out? He has all of these boxes. He's like packing his things up. His plan is to move out. And then Natsume shows up. For some reason, Uhara's door is just unlocked. Natsume walks into his apartment and basically just starts antagonizing him. He like says stuff about a conversation he had with Nao, and she has this notion that they wouldn't be together if they didn't live together. And I think that's stupid because duh, that's how circumstances work. Nothing would happen if something didn't happen. Like, you mean to tell, like, if I met my soulmate, I wouldn't have been with them if I didn't meet them where I met them. Like, I don't understand. Like, of course you wouldn't have ended up together if you didn't live together. You wouldn't have known each each other. Yeah, you go to the same school, but he doesn't talk to anybody. Anyway, Natsume tells Uhara that she has this idea that they wouldn't have been together if they didn't live together, and Uhara is like, it doesn't matter where or when I would have met her, I would have fallen in love with her anyway. And then Natsume, it sounds like he's trying to be annoying with what comes out of his mouth next, because he starts talking about how he and Natsume are going to like meet up at a park or something. And he's like, she's still in love with you now, but when a man and a woman are together, and then Uhara decks him so hard, he falls out on the couch. It was really funny, really shocking, wasn't expecting it. He definitely deserved it, not gonna lie. I mean, I guess he didn't, because it was a plan. He had a plot. He only said all of those things, including that he was meeting now, in hopes to get Uhara to go after her. And initially, Uhara has no plans to go and intercept this date or whatever. He's just gonna move out and leave. And then Miss Lab Partner shows up and rips him a new one. She gives him this really long lecture about how he's a coward and he needs to stop running even though he's afraid of getting hurt. He can't run forever, yada yada yada. And so he goes after her. It works. Her little speech works. And he goes to the park and now is there looking for Natsume. And he's like giving her all of these instructions on where to find him, but when she gets there, it's like by a fountain. He's not there, obviously, because again, this was a ploy to get Uhara and Nao back together. And Uhara's running around the park trying to find her, and she's walking around the park looking for Natsume. Eventually, Uhara finds her by a water fountain, and he gives this really long dramatic speech about how he's done running and how he's going to, like, he wants to be with her or whatever else. And then she gives a long speech about how she loves him even though she's annoying and yada yada yada. It's very cute, very dramatic. They kiss. There's the slow motion spinning of the camera, the water fountain in the background, or in the foreground, I guess, technically. It's real cute, real dramatic. And then she tells him that she wants them to live together as opposed to in separate apartments, I think is what she says. She says she wants to go home with him. I would just like to point out, they continue to live in 2 apartments. I think they just jockey back and forth between the 2 of them. Anyway, there's a giant party at the end with all of her friends whose names I don't know. Natsume's there. He came and apologized to Uhara and asked if they could still be friends because he doesn't have that many guy friends and he values Uhara's friendship. So the 2 of them remain friends and all of them go over to Nao's apartment and there's this big party with all of her cute little friends whose names I don't remember, and her mom is there. It's really sweet. There's a bunch of toasts. They toast to her relationship. They toast to a couple other things. The lab partner's research paper got published, so they toast to that as well. There's a bunch of kikiing. It's all fun. It's all dandy. They walk all of their friends out of the apartment building and they go back upstairs to their apartment, and then we skip to several days later. It says several days later, by the way, not like a certain number of days. Several. The ending scene is them leaving for a trip. I don't know where they're going, but she's running late again. I don't know why his existence in her life makes her unable to keep a schedule, but it's a good show. I recommend it. It's on Netflix. So yeah, this has been Good Morning Call in a nutshell. Thank you for watching. Wait. At the end of all of my videos, I put a question for you to answer down below in the comment section. This week's question is, what's your favorite season? Absolutely unrelated to the show. If you like this video, go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit the little bell notification so that you never miss one of my videos. And I hope to see you guys next week. Bye!